It's time. It's the most wonderful time of the DIY year because we are kicking off Christmas DIYs today. I've got 30 different ideas for you. They are all easy to recreate, and now you can get a jump start so then that way come December, you can just enjoy all of your creations and enjoy the holiday season. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video and helping me bring you these 30 Christmas DIYs to kick off the season. And let's get into it. Mercury glass as well as metallic finishes are huge for the holidays, but they can get expensive, so we are going to dupe it with a thrifted hurricane vase. You can also use something you already have. Start by spraying the inside with a metallic gold spray paint, and then here's where the magic happens. Then I filled a spray bottle with about 3/4 water to 1/4 white vinegar, and then grabbed some mirrored glass spray paint. I tried a few different techniques, but the one that I liked the best was when I sprayed the mirrored glass spray paint onto the vase, and then I spritzed it with the water vinegar mixture from a distance. That created some little water droplets on the surface. For the first 2 coats, I used a paper towel to pop the water bubbles, and then on the third and final coat, I just let it dry completely with the water on the surface, and that gave it a great look. I let it completely dry overnight, and I added these LED candles from Amazon, but you could also add a real one, and bam, West Elm dupe for under $5. The glow just feels like Christmas to me. For this next project, we are grabbing this unfinished wood nativity set from Hobby Lobby. They have them every year, and if you get them on sale, it is going to be super inexpensive, like mine was under $7. I'm going to lay everything out and use some sandpaper to make sure I get rid of any of those little unfinished bits, and then make sure I know about how wide it's going to set up. Then I'm going to grab some 1x2 wood and figure out how long I need to cut it, mark it, and head outside to cut the piece. You could also use a handsaw for this. Then I'm going to sand the entire piece just to make sure that everything is nice and smooth, and then you can choose to paint or stain the bottom. I decided to use Early American Stain by Minwax. Then to save some time and energy, I'm using flat black spray paint to spray paint the edges and tops and bottoms of my figurines to make it look like a silhouette. Then I'm going to use some of the super glue gel from Dollar Tree that works well on wood. I'm going to stick my figurines on there and let it dry overnight. That is how quick and easy it is. This thing is beautiful, and this is also a great piece you can make to sell. I did a craft show 2 years ago, and I sold 6 of them for $35 each at the craft show. They look super high-end. You wouldn't guess it's just a craft kit from Hobby Lobby, and it is such a beautiful piece of decor. If you are a craft buddy, welcome back, but if you're not already an email craft buddy, so you watch my videos but you're not on my email list, you're definitely going to want to sign up today because I have got a ton of free files that will be over in my free file library, and the password comes out every week in my newsletter. So if you're already an email craft buddy, grab that from your newsletter. If not, sign up. All the details are down below. Next, we're going to grab some bells. These came from Dollar Tree, but you can find them anywhere this time of year, and you're going to start by spray painting them flat white. Then once they're fully dry, I brought them in. I added some fun ribbon to the top as well as jute twine, and then used a paint marker to create a fun little face with dots and just little noses with some paint. How cute are these fun little snowmen? I put them in this mug, but really you could use them for embellishments. They would also make really cute present toppers. This super cute snowman is really easy to make with a Dollar Tree pizza pan. Now, if you can't find these at Dollar Tree, you can use a pizza pan or a wood round. You're going to want to make sure that anything you're using as a base has a base color of white, so you can spray paint the pizza pan or you can paint with chalk paint depending on what base you're using. Then it's time to add our face, so I started by using some red paint and buffing it in with my finger, so then that way it looked like a rosy cheek of a snowman. Once I had both of those done, I went in with a paint marker to do the eyes, as well as a couple dots for the mouth, and then we are going to add our nose for our cute little snowman. I added a couple dabs of glue on the back so I could hang it up, and then I also made sure to give my frosty friend a little scarf with some ribbon. Bada bing, bada boom, good to go, and this is also a wonderful project that you can do with kids. These large signs that Kirklands has every season are awesome because they really make a statement. However, to make this with wood, it is really heavy, and to buy them, it's expensive. So I decided to grab some 1x2s at Home Depot, and these are like under $3 a piece, and you need one 8-foot section per sign. Then also for each sign, you're going to want a piece of a Dollar Tree foam board. I'm making 2 signs, so I grabbed 2. Start by taking your 1x2 and measuring the long section of your sign, which should be approximately 30 inches. Cut 2 of them and then measure a piece that will fit evenly in between the 2 of them to frame out your sign. Once you've cut all 4 pieces, your frame should look like this, and then you're going to need some artwork for the inside. I decided to print 20 by 30 posters, and don't pay full price at Walgreens. They're always running a deal, so Google for a coupon code, but I got half off, so each of these were $13 for the prints. Something else to keep in mind while you're ordering these prints is that you're going to want approximately a 2-inch bleed around the outside with no artwork on it, because you are going to put your frame on and you don't want to cover any words. So if you're designing in Canva like I like to, you can pull these little guides over and make sure you have a 2-inch border around the outside. Then that way you won't have your wood go over your letters. So I'm just laying down the border here, and this is why we want to have our 2-inch bleed, so then that way everything is clear of the outside. And then we're going to mount this poster onto the foam board with some double stick tape. I make sure that the corners are covered and there's a decent amount in the center, because then that way you won't have any gapping. I like to do the top first so I know it's going to stay put, and then peel the poster back and stick the other pieces down lower. Once that's done, you can line up your wood pieces again and then staple them to the sign on the back. Now I like to get one piece set and then continue around the outside so that you know everything is in the right spot, just because you have to flip it over to staple it with your staple gun. You can get a cheap one like this at Walmart or any craft store. You don't need a fancy DeWalt one. That's just what we have. Once it's all hooked on, your sign is ready to go. And if you have any ends that you need to trim, like any overhang, just take an X-Acto knife and cut down that foam board, being careful not to cut your wood. If you noticed throughout this project, I had this little pink circle in the corner that says free file library. That means that the file that you're seeing is free for you to download over on my blog. If you're new to Whiskey and Wit or new to my free file library, I will have all the details down below. If you're not an email craft buddy, you'll just need to opt into my newsletter to get the password, and then all the files in there are free. I've got a ton of options. I add more weekly, so you're definitely going to want to join us if you like free files. And speaking of free files, you can also use any of my SVGs with a similar thought process to make cheap faux wood signs using that same border technique. These were in a Cricut video I did a few years ago, and both are free files. If you want the tutorial or the free files, I will link the details down in the description. They are easy to make with a Cricut machine if you want to do the decal, or if you have a stencil, that would make it easy as well. I am always picking up picture frames from the thrift store, especially for the holidays. I like to go with metallic options, and it's great for not only printable art like I'm showing here, but vintage sheet music, holiday prints, or any other heirloom things you have for the holidays. Now, I have got a pack of a ton of free printables over on my blog for you for Christmas. You can head down to the description to get yours. I've got a wide variety, both religious and not, colorful and neutral, so you will find something that you like over there, so be sure to check it out. It's all free for my Whiskey Craft Buddy email subscribers, and it's really easy to join. Also included in the printables are some from my absolute favorite Christmas movie, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And this will be the 5th year that I have made DIYs inspired by the movie. These are all ones I've made in the past, and I will link my full playlist down below if you are a fan of the movie like I am. So head down to the description and let me know your favorite Christmas movie, because I want to make projects that you guys want to see. So I'm going to tally it up and pick some of the top ones to create some more DIYs. This Christmas is going to be extra special for our family with the arrival of our second child due in December. Well, I'm super thankful. I am now in my 3rd trimester, and something that really helped me through all the ups and downs was my Ritual Essential Prenatal. You guys remember back 1st trimester and a good chunk of the 2nd, I was so nauseous, and the prenatal I was taking was making me even more sick. I was gagging. I couldn't take it. It was awful. And I was worried as a mom, because you obviously need all those nutrients for the baby. Not only did it check all my boxes, but it's also the first prenatal vitamin made traceable, which means it has traceable, clinically studied ingredients to help support a healthy pregnancy. With all the noise out there about prenatals in general, knowing that gave me peace of mind in making my switch to Ritual. This one was great because it's only 2 per day. I can take it with or without food because it is specially coated for pregnancy-related nausea to help with your stomach, which is great for me. I take them in the morning with my coffee so I don't forget. I also added Ritual's neonatal choline to my routine because I learned that over 95% of pregnant women don't get enough choline from their diets alone. And while the Essential Prenatal has choline in it already, this extra boost is great for little man's brain health. I love that Ritual is mom-founded. They offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, and it's also a monthly subscription. For things like this, I am so glad because then I won't forget and then not have my prenatal thanks to my own pregnancy brain. Check out all the things that Ritual has to offer, including the Essential Prenatal. You can head over to ritual.com/whiskey-wit25, or you can scan this QR code right here. It'll take you right there. And be sure to use the code whiskey-wit25 for 25% off your first Ritual order. This next one starts with a free supply, which is a cardboard box, and these are so easy to find this year, especially with all the holiday ordering. Starting by getting a smaller piece of my box cut off that I can work with. I'm starting by sketching a variety of different sizes of houses so I can cut them out, and I'm just using regular scissors. You just want to make sure that they're sharp. I did a variety of different sizes, but you can do all the same if you'd rather do that. And then I'm using my favorite paint marker from Amazon. I will link it down below. The ones you see me use today are those, and I love them. And then I just pulled up some images on Pinterest to draw a variety of different houses. Then I decided to use this Hobby Lobby garland, and I liked the unfinished wood color, but if you have beads on hand, if you want to do pom-poms, if you want to do tassels, you can do whatever you're feeling here. You can add some color as well. I used my dowel needle to string up 2 beads in between each house, and I did a variety of sizes along the way. Now, if you drew your houses in the right direction with your corrugated cardboard, you should be able to slide it right through. I wasn't paying attention when I cut them, so I had to kind of power it through, but it ended up working with my dowel needle, which I will link down below. It's a must-have for garlands for me. I love that using cardboard makes these super sustainable as well as super inexpensive, and if you don't need a garland, here's how you can make these freestanding trees. You're going to grab a shape, or you can just freehand it to make 2 trees of the same size. And my large tray was from Target, and then this small wood cutout I think was from Hobby Lobby. So however many trees you want to make sure that you have 2 identical cardboard cutouts. We're going to find the center of the cardboard piece. Once I have my center marked, I'm also going to find the center middle of it. So then that way I know where my 2 pieces are going to intertwine. I'm creating a couple marks so that I know just about how wide my cardboard is to cut my slits, and I'm cutting one with a slit from the bottom to the middle, and then my second one is going to be the top to the middle. And I just went ahead and made a little mark so I knew right where the centers would line up. I went through with a white paint marker and did them in a gingerbread motif, but you could easily paint these red or green or whatever Christmas color that you want, and then go through with markers. This would also be a really fun thing to do with your kids when they're off on Christmas break and they just really need a boredom buster. So a ton of options and super duper free because you know you got boxes laying around because it's that time of year. I don't know about you, but online shopping saves me time and time again, just makes it a lot easier than having to run to the store, so we get a decent amount of deliveries between my business and personal here at the house. So I decided to fill up this white Amazon cart, which is awesome because it also folds up, which is awesome. I will link it down below. And I filled it up with a variety of snacks I got off of Amazon and Dollar Tree as well as Aldi to keep it budget friendly. I also created this printable, which I will link down below for you, that just says, "Thank you, we appreciate you, please help yourself." I put this right next to our doorbell where they drop the packages so they can come up, they can grab a snack, something to drink, and on those long shifts know that they are appreciated. I love all of the scenes in Gimples and Elf, so I had to recreate this free printable banner, Welcome Santa. So you can get this file, this PDF over on my blog, just print it out. I suggest on some white cardstock. Cut them out, and then I punched holes in either corner. Now, you might notice that they're hearts because I couldn't find my regular punch. Nonetheless, that plus some hand-cut snowflakes is just what this setup needed. And if you are unsure how to make your own snowflakes, no worries. There are a ton of templates online. Just Google, hand-cut paper snowflake template, something like that. But I just kind of had a blast. It was very cathartic, and I cut my own. Now, as you can see, I have a whole setup, and I did this part of a Christmas movie video last year. So the video is full of everything from Elf, Christmas Vacation. I also did a Christmas Story. We did some Grinch. We did some Rudolph. So many fun things for Christmas. So if you love Christmas movies or have kiddos who love Christmas movies, you're definitely going to want to check out that video, and I will link it for you up above and down below. Speaking of Elf, one of my favorite scenes from that movie is the Snowball Fight scene. So I decided to take this huge red bowl from the kitchen section and turn it into an indoor snowball fight kit, especially when it gets so cold here in Illinois. I need to have some activities for Finn to do. So this son of a nutcracker, Time for a Snowball Fight, is actually a recreation. I made my own version. I made something similar a few years ago, but it wasn't my own file. It was before I gave away so many free files. So I decided to make one for my collection. It's got the different layers for the different colors, and I just cut it out in green, yellow, and red. This is perfect for scraps, and I didn't worry about layering with transfer tape because they were super easy to stack on top of each other. I'm applying just regular transfer tape here because I don't have to worry about anything peeling up from the bowl. I am getting it at a good angle and then just applying it, starting with pressure in the center and pushing to either side. Then my last step was to fill it up with some of these fun snowballs from Dollar Tree, and we can go hog wild with some snowball fights indoors to stay warm this winter. Up next, we are going to do a mashup of this faux cypress wreath along with these brass bell wreath hangers that I saw at Pottery Barn. Here's the idea. You have the wreath hanger and it adds bells to any wreath that you have. Well, we're going to make the whole thing mashed up for much cheaper. I find that the best place to find wreaths this time of year is Walmart. The one I grabbed was $16.98, and then you're going to need some bells. If you're lucky enough to find these at Hobby Lobby on sale 50% off, you can get the string already done for $9, which I think is a great deal. Walmart has their own options, and they also have some ones that aren't gold if you want to make them over using the technique I'm sharing today. I ended up going with these from the craft section at Hobby Lobby just because they were so much cheaper to DIY than to drive around all our creation to figure out where the cheapest one was. I'm all for saving money, but sometimes running all around creation and wasting your time is just not worth it. So we kind of have to be smart when we're duping things here because yes, you could save, but you could spend $50 in gas and then it's really not a dupe, is it? And what I think they did is they went for the cheaper option for the finish. So we're going to use some rub and buff to really make these look a little bit more shiny, a little bit more like banged up metal, and a little bit more like that inspiration. So I originally started with one color of the gold rub and buff and decided that it was a little too rose gold for me. So I ended up doing the different color, which is gold leaf on the top of it. And I like the top one better, but I wanted to share both in case you want more of a rosy gold look. Any bells that you see that you're like, I love the shape, but the finish looks kind of cheaply done because it's in a budget bin or budget area of the store, no worries. You can get rub and buff for like $6, and I've had the same container for literal years. You don't need a ton of it, and you can really make them over. Now let's get back to this wreath. The craft buddies know that I'm going to add lights to pretty much anything I can for Christmas because it just brings me so much joy. So Walmart has the best selection outside of Amazon as far as pricing, and these actually are called Beat Sync. So they're supposed to sync to music. I have to mess with them more, but initially it was kind of nice because I could play whatever song and it would twinkle to that. What I'm doing is unraveling my lights. These are just little LEDs on a strand. I'm going to go around, looping it around, and then I'm going to take my little battery pack and push it up in the corner. And then I just used a little bit of jute twine to make sure that it wouldn't move. I just wanted to make sure that I had my button on the outside so I could turn the wreath on and off when I didn't need it or needed it. Then we're going to take those made over bells and we're going to string them in 3 different heights so it looks like the inspiration. And I'm doing that by tying on some Dollar Tree jute twine and just working my way up with knots. Then when it comes to wreaths or garlands, I really like to get it set up in the space instead of making it and then having to mess with it. So I've got my lit wreath up here. I've got some black velvet ribbon that I also got from Hobby Lobby. I am going to add my bells, get them where I want, and then I'm going to add my little black piece of ribbon to really pull the look together. It worked a little better to add the ribbon after the fact just because I needed the bells to sit a certain way, and I found the easiest way to do this is to add some jute twine to the ribbon, then that way I could tie it and get it to stay right where I wanted. I love this wreath so much. It looks beautiful during the day, but then also when it's lit up, it is just next level. I love having Christmas lights throughout my house. This is the time of year I don't like to use the big lights. I like to use the ambiance lights. And the best part about this wreath, I made the whole thing all in for about $32. And if I were to buy the pieces from Pottery Barn, it would have been well over $200. So gotta love a dupe that looks good and also helps you save. One of my top #1 most requested favorite DIYs ever are these faux marshmallows. And I make them with white model magic that you can sometimes find at Dollar Tree, but you can also find it really easily on Amazon or at Walmart. Really anywhere has it. All you need to do is take this modeling clay made for kiddos and put it in your hands, roll it around, and create a marshmallow shape. That's it. That's how you create faux marshmallows. It's so quick and easy. I make them every year and they're so cute in decor. You can leave them as they are, or once they dry overnight, you can take a paint marker, add some fun little snowman features, and you've got adorable little snowman marshmallows. I took mine and added them to this jar from Dollar Tree to display, and it's also great because they stay really safe in there when you want to store them throughout the year. There's a ton of different options for displaying them. Quick, easy, and oh so cute. Here's another idea to take those marshmallows to the next level with a little bit of fake chocolate drizzle. What you're gonna do is before you sit your marshmallow to the side to dry, stick a dowel rod into the bottom and then let it fully dry. Once it's dry, then go through with this tulip paint in brown so it looks like chocolate. I like to make a decent circle covering the top, and then you can tap the stick onto your desk. The more you tap it, the more kind of cascade drizzle you're going to get, but then let those dry overnight. They're going to dry hard. They won't be wet like paint, and they are so stinking cute. So last year, Anthropologie had a really fun gingerbread door mat, and I wanted to make one like it, but I didn't get around to it. Well, this year, Grandin Road has one that is over 70 bucks, and I decided to dupe it with a Walmart doormat, but you could get these anywhere. You just want a plain version of these doormats. I started by measuring the long side and realized it was 30 inches wide, so I measured 15 inches in the center for the point of my house, and then I also marked 10 inches and 20 inches so I knew which third each house would fit into. Then, following the picture almost to a T, I used some craft sticks because I couldn't find my ruler, but you can use a ruler, and created the peak of the center one, and then the different tops of the houses as well as the chimneys. So I'm just looking at the picture and trying to recreate the best I can. Once I had everything roughed out the way I wanted, I took my tin snips and cut it. It was just a lot easier to cut it that way. Shake off all of your extra pieces from cutting your doormat apart, and then I took some tape just to really help make my outside lines straight, clean, crisp. So I'm just using a regular paintbrush and acrylic paint to start to apply it around the outside. I did the bottom and both sides as well as the peak of the middle house just so I could get them to be very symmetrical. Then it was time to rough out everything else, so I used more white paint and got everything where it needed to be. I just followed the picture again. It's kind of a paint by numbers. And then I realized that it really made it pop with a second coat of the white paint. So here it is after the first coat. And then if you look, the one on the right has the second coat, so it's just more vibrant. So I decided to do the whole thing just over one more time. Once it was dry, I wanted to seal it, so I took it outside, and it looks like the seasons are confused here with my leaves, but I just used some clear spray paint and gave it a really good coat all around, so then that way that paint was going to be locked in case it got wet. I don't recommend like putting a ton of snow on it. It's definitely decorative, but I wanted to make sure the whole thing didn't fall apart. On top of the fact that this looks great, I was able to make it for under $10, which is so much cheaper than that other one. I think they look very similar. I recently got a really fun FaceTime call from my pal Santa, reminding me that I made an awesome bag for him to put Finn's gifts in last year, and I'm gonna need to get to work like a busy elf to make another one for him to use for baby boy coming in December. So let me show you how I made Finn's, and then I'm gonna have to make another one this year for baby. The bags I'm using are just laundry bags I got in a pack of 2 for $13 from Amazon, and they take vinyl really well. I know so many of you craft buddies watch my videos with littles, so in case Santa calls you too, I've provided these over in my free file library as free files, and if you need help customizing it, I've got a tutorial breaking it down that I will link down below. You're going to cut them in your variety of colors that you want. I did black and red, but you can customize these however you want. Cut them out and weed them and get ready to press. We're going to press them at 320 degrees for about 20 to 25 seconds. And these bags are a really good size, so Santa can fill them with a variety of items. And the best news is you can even put smaller things in and they just look cute irregardless of if they're full to the max or not, which is great. Here's one of my favorite tricks for applying vinyl. I'm going to fold my decal in half and give it a crease right on the carrier sheet. You're not going to crease the HTV, but crease the carrier sheet. Then you know where to line it up in the center. And then I'm using my Cricut press, but you can also use an iron to apply this. Something else you're going to want to keep in mind is know if your HTV/iron-on is a hot peel or a cool peel. If it's a hot peel, you can press it like I'm doing here, peel it right off, and you're good to go. If it is a cool peel, you need to let it fully cool before you peel it, because if you peel it when it's hot, it's going to look like it didn't stick and you're going to get really frustrated. You can find that out by either Googling the type that you're using, or you can also look on the packaging if you still have that. And bada bing, bada boom, Santa is going to have some fun bags to fill when he visits our house. So if you happen to get that special call from Santa for your kids or grandkids, you can come back to this video and create these, or you could just put your own gifts in them as well. You could customize what it says. It could say, you know, ho 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 from Grammy or from Gigi. You could also cut out a coloring page of their favorite character, so then after they take their gift out of the bag is also a gift. They could color on it with fabric markers. Cost difference, $69 for the Pottery Barn versus $12 for mine. I think Santa put me right on the nice list for that. Now, if you love super inexpensive Cricut DIYs, you're definitely going to want to check out my Cricut DIY playlist for Christmas. I have so many projects made from Dollar Tree items that you're definitely going to want to check out. And I was recently talking to Courtney over at Creative on the Cheap, and she says that she shares her projects and calls them From the Vault projects from years past. And I love that. So if you want to check out From the Vault projects, I will be sharing more of them throughout this video. You can find the links to those in the description, or you can just check out my Christmas playlist, which I will link up in the iCards for you. One of my new favorite places to shop for DIY supplies for Christmas projects is the thrift store. Let me show you how you can turn these green candles into something that you can leave up all winter long. I found these green candles and I put them in a bowl with hot water. I let them soak submerged for about 2 minutes to soften them up, and then I took a knife carefully and started to mold the candle into a tree shape. I did one pass around, and then for the next layer, I added it in between the top two so that it created a cascading look. These fit great in these Dollar Tree candlesticks I already had, and I love them. These turned out way better than I even expected. Hey Craft Buddy, I know this video is a jam-packed longer one, so if you are still with me, do me a favor, head down to the description and let me know what you are most looking forward to about Christmas. Obviously, mine is the baby, but I'm also excited to be able to make new traditions as a family of 4, and I'm also really excited because Finn and Alex just love Christmas as much as I do, so it's our favorite season. So head down there, let me know your favorite thing you're looking forward to about Christmas. I would love to learn more about you guys. I was super excited to find these $1.25 pillowcase covers because the back is blank. So you could easily customize the back and have it be a double-sided pillow, or just lean it up, nobody's going to see the back. I measured and realized that I wanted a decal that was 12 inches wide, and with heat transfer vinyl, there's a shiny side and a dull side. You want to make sure you put the shiny side down on your mat. Then you're going to load it into your machine, and the other thing you want to make sure that you click is the mirror setting. So this is what it looks like in Cricut, but make sure you do it on yours. That's just going to flip your design to work with the heat transfer vinyl. Up next, we're going to weed everything out. I like to take the inner pieces out first, and that will help your hand from sticking to the carrier sheet while you're weeding. Also, for these cutout characters, I did the outside first and then worked my way in, just so I didn't remove a piece of the face, just because it was a little bit more intricate. And then it was time to press it. So I gave it a quick pre-press on the back, and you want to make sure you put down parchment paper or wax paper. I'll show you why in just a second. And then we are going to add the decals with that shiny side up. This is why you mirror, because you flip it over. I'm going to press at 320 degrees for about 15 to 18 seconds, but you're going to want to make sure to check the packaging of your heat transfer vinyl. Also, this is why we want to cover it, because the back is sublimation and it may transfer onto your press pad, so don't make the same mistake I did. Now mine is cool peel, so I let my heat transfer vinyl cool, and then I peeled off the carrier sheet, leaving this awesome pillow. My last step was to stuff it with some stuffing and decorate. I love this thing. It is so fun. And this is another one you wouldn't guess. It was $1.25. Add some vinyl and it's Christmas magic. So what if you can't find a square pillow cover, or any for that matter? You can use placemats from Dollar Tree or anywhere else. You just want to make sure it is a double-sided placemat. So I've made so many of these, and you're going to press them the same way we did with that sticky/wet bandit pillow. I did a baby shark one for Finn a couple years ago. I've also done Grinchmas. I have this Christmas movies and hot cocoa one that I have on our couch every year. And once you press it to make it into a pillow, all you need to do is pull apart the two pieces. So you've got a front and a back to your placemat, and you're going to snip just the back of the placemat. Give yourself just enough room so that you can add your stuffing, and you can use an old pillow. You could use polyfill, really whatever you have or whatever you can get the most inexpensively. And then I just take a dowel needle and just some twine. This is just Dollar Tree twine. It's nothing fancy. You could use jute twine and just seal up the back, and then you are good to go. The nice thing is too, if you ever need to wash them and take the stuffing out, you can just cut the twine, pull it out, and then you're good to go. Wash it, restuff it, and then you can wash those pillows. I use these really decoratively so they're not getting dirty, but just an FYI, I get questions about that. And I also used the same technique last year to dupe this Pottery barn doormat into a pillow. This is another Whiskey and Whit free cut file. It's a couple different layers, but it's the same thing. Add it all on there, snip the back, stuff it, and reseal it. And I absolutely love this pillow. I got so many compliments when people came over last year. And of course, you know, as a DIYer, I had to be like, well, I made it. And it's a dupe of a Pottery barn one. Tell me in the comments, do you do that when somebody gives you compliments, or like you buy something on clearance and you're like, thanks, it was only $5, and like you pat yourself on the back? Do I do that? Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments. Something else I fell in love with on the Pottery Barn site that was well out of budget were these modern nutcrackers. And Kirklands had some, but they were still over $25 for one of them, made it really hard to justify the price. So I decided to get some unfinished ones and make them over myself. These are at Michael's. A lot of stores have them, but I ended up going with the Hobby Lobby option because their stuff is already half off, and these were $9.99, making them $5 each. When I got them home, I removed the tags, and then I used a little sanding block to remove any of the rough edges. A lot of these project pieces aren't sanded the best. And then I decided to use this English chestnut stain to stain them. I used a foam brush, and I had to flood a lot of the areas with some excess stain and then use a paper towel to rub it off. That's how I was able to get the nutcracker fully covered. And once he was done, I just let him dry overnight. And I didn't worry about sealant because it's stain, and these turned out really good. Now, something to keep in mind with these project pieces is that they typically use wood glue to put them together, so sometimes you'll get some unevenness, which I got with these, but I'm not unhappy with it. I like the rustic look, but I did just want to throw that out there. I love how these turned out, and for a fraction of the price, the look can be yours. For those monochrome ones, if you're looking for more of a color, or if you are a vibrant person and want a pink one or an orange one, you can spray paint them as well. They turn out really well. If you are loving all of these dupes I'm sharing in this video, you're definitely going to want to check out my DIY instead of buy playlist. I've got a ton of holiday options as well as some everyday things that you can check out and recreate for a fraction of the cost that you can get items bought at some of the high-end stores. So check that out in the iCards or down in the description. I know so many of you love how the Grinch stole Christmas, so here is how to make a Who Hash can in Grinch's hand. I'm actually using a roll from some transfer tape, but you can use a soup can, literally anything cylindrical that you have, Pringles, whatever. Take some red cardstock and cut it to the size and then hook it to your item. You can use hot glue or you can use double-sided tape, whichever works. Then I cut out this Who Hash decal that will be a free printable over on my blog, but I cut it out on some sticker paper. It's easy enough to cut by hand, and I stuck it right on there. Then that way you don't have to print it to the right size, you just have to print it in approximately the right size. Then to hold our can of Who Hash, I got one of these wood artist hands and some Grinch gloves. I put the glove on the wood hand, so then that way I could kind of pose it, and I thought this would be so cute holding the can of Who Hash on my tiered tray. Then to stuff the Who Hash, I am using some of these little squigglies from Hobby Lobby. I use them in so many things, and you guys always ask, so these ribbons are from there. And then I had some of this white just fur to be the Santa wrist, and then some red velvet ribbon to be kind of the start of his Santa outfit jacket. Once that's all stuck there, we've got our Who Hash fresh from Whoville, and it is ready to go. I love those little squigglies. They make me think of the Grinch so much, and I just made the hand kind of cup so it would hold the can of Who Hash. Now, I'm sure I'll get a ton of questions on where this Jim Carrey Grinch sign came from, so that's what we're going to DIY next. I actually found this artwork and a ton of other options at alternativemovieposters.com. They have so many different Christmas movies that I got the files and printed them out, and all I needed to do was cut them down. They're 4.5 by 6.5, so you can use any clearance sign or photo frame that you want, and you can mount it with hot glue or double-sided tape. I love this because it's a nod to the Jim Carrey one. I love that it looks like a magazine cover, and I am just a huge fan of that Alternative Movie Posters website. So this Burn So Good McAllister Aftershave is actually Dollar Tree Aftershave. I just peeled off the sticker. Thank goodness it came in one piece. Trimmed down this again on that sticker paper, but you could do regular paper and apply it with some double stick tape and put it right where that other sticker was. And I love the little detail on there. Try our new formula, better suited for first timers. I also made this Angels with Filthy Souls to look just like the movie. I grabbed a VHS for 99 cents from the thrift store, and then we're going to add it just again with the sticker paper, sticker in the center, one on the end to look just like the movie prop. I love how all these turned out, and it definitely screams Home Alone. Every year we typically have 2 rounds of the Mystery Box Challenge with Christmas stuff, and last year Kelly at Kelly Barlow Creations sent me some zip ties that I had to work into a Christmas DIY. I was so stumped until I thought about this idea, and trust me, you're going to want to stick with me because it turned out really great and you may want to grab some zip ties yourself. I started with 15 of these black zip ties and hooked it on to a pipe cleaner that I had so it would be bendable. Then I went through with my scissors and cut a variety of lengths, kind of one long, one short, and I alternated how I cut on an angle. And the goal here is to get this to look like either sunbeams or light beams. Once I did that, I was able to trim off the ends and kind of create this sun effect. Then I took a foam brush and some rub and buff to cover it up and really make it look more like light instead of black. Then to accompany my zip tie item, I decided I was going to paint a sign similar to how I painted this cross a few years ago. So I started with some paint and a sign and got to work. So I started by creating 3 faces, Joseph, Mary, and baby Jesus. We're going to add some browns randomly, it doesn't have to be perfect, to the bottom to start to create the bottom floor of the stable where the manger is going to sit. Then I like to do it in a layering process, so I'm going to do the hair for Joseph and Mary in a lighter brown, and then I'm going to rough out where the manger needs to go. I like to do the manger in black because it pops off of the brown, but if you'd rather have a brown manger, you could totally do that too. Then with a little bit thicker of a brush, I'm just creating a rough shape for Joseph's kind of cloak. He also is going to have a hood on, and then I'm doing the same thing for Mary. Now, don't worry if you go over some of the stuff you already painted. We're kind of doing a layering thing here, and if you're actually an artist, you're probably pulling your hair out because I'm doing it all wrong, but this works for me. I pick and choose kind of what comes next based on what is drying the fastest. So I did the outlines in black just to make everything pop, and then I also added some additional coloring to both of the outfits for Mary and Joseph just to give it some depth. Then I went through with white to do baby Jesus's kind of wrap, and I outlined that in black as well. I got a little too crazy, so I covered it with a little bit more white. Then it was time to grab some gold paint and create a large star up in the corner just because there was some negative space up there. And then I went through with gold and white dots to make it look like a starry night. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Whitney, where did the zip ties fit in? Right here. We're going to glue that contraption to the back starting in the center, and then you're going to create it kind of like a sun or a radial shape onto the back of that wood piece. This is just a wood canvas I got from Walmart, but you can get these at Dollar Tree as well. Any of the pieces that won't sit where they need to sit on their own, glue them down, and then when you flip it over, you're going to have this beautiful 3D look glowing out from the Holy Family. I am so happy with how this turned out. I saw it like this in my head, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Who knew zip ties could look so beautiful? Another option for marshmallows is using felt, and I created these cute little marshmallows with a unlikely supply. That is toilet paper rolls. I've been collecting these because I had a thought that maybe I would need them for Christmas DIYs, and I was right. So I cut it in half, and then I'm cutting a strip of felt to wrap around the outside of my piece. You also want to make sure you have enough on either end because we're going to cut some tabs here in a second to fully hook it to the toilet paper roll. I just added glue with my precision glue gun all the way around the outside, and then I cut some tabs around the outside so that I could add some glue and fold them in. That's going to give you a nice finished edge. Then to close off our marshmallow, we're going to add some hot glue to the bottom and press it directly down on some scrap felt. Let it cool and then trim it. It makes it a lot easier than having to trace and cut it correctly to then get it to stick. So just add the glue, put it down, and then trim it. We're going to repeat the same step but on the top so that we have a full closed marshmallow. And then you can be done if you want just some regular marshmallows. These are nice to throw into vignettes. They look nice and fluffy. They're kind of a little bit oversized, which I like. It goes with the whimsy vibe of this setup. And I think they are super adorable, quick and easy to do. This could also be a really fun DIY with kiddos. I think I might make some more of these so Finn and I can have a marshmallow snowball fight when it gets too cold to go outside here in Illinois. Now another take on those is to create little snowman marshmallows. So I took a paint marker and added a face as well as a little strip of orange felt for a nose. I hot glued that on and then I went back in with that tulip paint to add some faux chocolate on the top. I'm going to add it around, kind of get the drips where I want them started and then tap it on the table. So then that way it gives me some really fun drips. These would make a great addition to any tiered tray or throw them in a little like ramekin dish for some fun addition to your hot cocoa bar. Now, as I was making those, I realized they kind of looked like mugs, but without the handle. So I decided to do the same thing, but with some colored felt and then add handles. So here I'm doing the same thing I did before with the marshmallows, just pushing the tabs in. I took one of these styrofoam balls from Dollar Tree and glued it on the inside. Now, I had some leftover really fluffy yarn from these Pottery Barn Dupe pillows, but I used some scrap of that yarn to wrap it around the top and give it some faux whipped cream. I think this works a lot easier for ornaments than the spackling. It obviously doesn't look like real whipped cream like the spackling does, but I like the fluffy whimsy of this, so I thought I would try it this year versus the spackling that I did last year. Then to make your handle, just grab some scrap felt, roll up a strip like this, glue it so it stays, trim it, and then I'm finding the seam on my cup and gluing the handle down. I had to hold it for probably 20 seconds for each piece, but once it did, it stayed perfectly, and these were so cute. My last step was to add an embellishment, so I painted these little snowflakes from Dollar Tree white and added them to the center of my little mug, and these were good to go. I made a bunch of these so that I could put them on the tree in my dining room for my hot cocoa / gingerbread room, and I am so excited. You can add a hanger to the back, but I just set them on the branch and it worked out perfectly. I made this latte just by dusting the top of the white felt with some nutmeg brown. I also added some brown felt and some melted chocolate to these, and then used some more of that Model Magic to make some teeny little marshmallows. And then once they dried overnight, hot glued them to the top, and they just are so cute. So they're great for shelf sitters, great for tiered trays. You could do whatever colors you're feeling. And I also decided to do some green with snowflakes as well as some off-white, so then that way I could keep these out for winter decor rather than just Christmas. If you love gingerbread vibes like I do and want some little items to fill out vignettes, you're going to grab yourself one of these silicone molds. You can usually find them in the baking section, but I found these at Dollar Tree and I decided to use these peppermint ones, but you can use whatever shape you want. Fill it with hot glue, let it cool, and then trim off any extra pieces carefully with an X-Acto knife. Then go through and paint it just like you would a wood round. I did a white base coat, silver for the wrapper, and then white and red for the peppermint. So quick and easy to do. The hot glue, you can buy the cheap stuff. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. These candies will last you years and years, and they are so cute on tiered trays. For my gingerbread setup, I wanted one of these fun candy cane LED candles, but this price was crazy. So you could make this with an LED pillar candle from Dollar Tree, super easy peasy, but I decided to do a thicker one from Hobby Lobby just because I wanted a bigger size than what Dollar Tree could offer, but you could get LED candles anywhere, even the thrift store. I started with a thick painter's tape and did one piece on a diagonal and then used another piece as a spacer, and I'm just continuing that all around my candle until everything is covered. Then we're going to cover it in Mod Podge to prepare it for our glitter. And I know you guys are thinking, Whitney, you hate glitter. Don't worry, I like this fine glitter just for Christmas, and we're gonna seal it so it doesn't come off everywhere. I'm dumping this on top of some paper, but you could use a tin or a pan just to catch everything. And I'm also making sure that the glitter goes up on the edge of my candle so that it looks like a full little strip. In between dumps, I'm pouring it back into the container, and that's why it's helpful to have the paper on the bottom. And I'm going to continue to add Mod Podge around the outside. Once everything's covered, we're going to cover the glitter with Mod Podge, let it dry about halfway, and then we're going to add a little bit more glitter. I did 2 coats to make sure everything was coated. And then once you do that additional layer of glitter, we're going to go back through and cover everything with more Mod Podge. Here's what it's going to look like when it's covered with Mod Podge, but don't worry, it will dry like this. And then it's time to pull off that tape. So carefully pull it off, especially because if the Mod Podge dried on top of the tape as well as on the candle, you don't want to Band-Aid rip it. You want to go slowly. And once you get going, make sure to pull it at a sharp angle like I'm doing here, and you will be fine. Now to get off any random pieces of glitter, I just used a wet paper towel. I did that on the inside of the candle as well. And then I also sprayed a polyacrylic sealant on the outside just to make sure that glitter was not going anywhere. But I absolutely love this in the red and white vibe. It looks great on those little pedestals. And this is going to live in my dining room with my gingerbread setup this Christmas. Another quick and easy and nice and cheap, but really cute are these appetizer plates. Now I did a similar project back in the fall for my fall Dollar Tree blanks, and I thought instead of putting those away and buying more plates, why don't I take the vinyl off and redo them every season? Vinyl's not that crazy expensive for that small of a piece, so I just cut out Mary in red and I just washed the plates off after I removed the vinyl and then replaced it. Then that way I don't have to find a place to store it, and these can just stay out on my table with the different seasons on top. This is another free file that I'll have for you over on my blog, and I love how the letters curve to fit perfectly in the center of that plate. During a recent trip to Dollar Tree, I saw these 3 different size squares in the Crafter Square section, and I grabbed some for sign blanks, but then as I was staining, an idea came to me for a nativity set. I ended up doing 2 of the medium-sized boxes and then 1 large box. For the large box, I cut that file to 5 1/4 inches wide, and then the 2 small ones were 4 1/2 inches wide. Again, this is the white matte vinyl Oracle 651, which just means it's permanent, and I'm applying it with that paper transfer tape. I did the Holy Family in the center, and this is a beautiful way to display a nativity and the reason for the season. This one comes to us from the Kirklands website, and as I was scrolling, I thought this was so cute, and I thought I could totally make that. So I went to Walmart in their craft section and grabbed one of these $6 cutting boards and got to work. I started by measuring it to decide if I wanted it to sit on its side or straight up, and I decided to go a little bit different than the inspiration. I measured to find out that I needed to cut my decal to 7 inches wide, and this is a free file that will be over on my blog if you want to download it. I tried to find a font that was kind of similar to the inspiration, but that one was really hand lettered. And so sometimes I get a lot of people that ask about fonts, and you have to look at it and think, did somebody hand letter that digitally, or does it look like a font? And you could tell that was hand lettered because all the letters were different sizes and it didn't look uniform. But this, I think, has whimsy without needing to hand letter the font. I'm weeding it like a stencil, so I'm taking out all the inner pieces, and I'm using my paper transfer tape to add it right to my wood. I'm getting it centered, lined up, and then I'm going to apply it and peel off my transfer tape. You want to be careful as you are pulling. I'm using permanent vinyl for this stencil because I think it grips the best, but just be careful as you're peeling it back so your little pieces and your little letters don't go away. Then for the start of the show, torch paste. This is how we are going to get the burning into the wood. Now, if you don't have a Cricut, you can also use torch paste with silicone transfers. You can wash it right out, so that's something to keep in mind. If you don't have a Cricut, you can still do this. I like to use an old Cricut scraper, but you can apply it with the squeegee that it comes with, and you just want to carefully apply it over the top. I scrape it across, remove any excess, and you want to do it gently. but you're going to know everything's covered when your letters have this orange tint. I let it dry for about 20 minutes, and then you're going to peel your stencil off, so make sure it's dry, so then that way as you're removing these little pieces, you're not smearing your torch paste, because if you smear it, then that is going to burn as well, and it's going to not create clean lines like you want. Then I took my cutting board outside, I put on my sublimation heat protectant gloves just for safety, and I grabbed my Wagner heat gun. For this, you need a high heat gun. You don't want just an embellishing gun, so I will link what I use down below. It is super inexpensive from Amazon, and it's worked great. Then the key here is to keep moving your gun. I have this set to high, and you want to keep moving it until stuff starts turning black. If you leave it on any place too long, you're going to get some extensive burning, and it's not going to look that great. And as you can see here, it's already turning the wood outside of my letters a little bit black. Then to give it a little bit more uniform look, I'm going through and adding a little bit of distress charring to areas without the letters, just so it kind of all matches. Then I'm taking a really high grit sandpaper, like a 220, getting off any extra grit so it's completely flat. And then to seal it, I am using some of this Butcher Block conditioner. I have never used this before, but Courtney recommended it when she was talking about wood projects in our pinners class. And so I knew I had to go grab some and test it out. And I really like it. It's supposed to be wood safe, but I'm not sure with the science how that works because you put a chemical on the wood to burn. So I'm not going to tell you it's food safe, but I will tell you that it is really nice to finish it like that because it puts some life back into your wood. It's also nice because it's a great alternative if you don't have a laser machine, but you want to have that etched look on wood. Here's a quick reminder of the inspiration, about 70 bucks, and I made mine for around 8. What a full jam-packed video. I hope you are leaving with so much inspiration to get you excited for Christmas. And like I said before, I understand that it's early, but some of these items you want to get ahead of it, or you can also start doing these at your leisure. So then that way, come December, you're not running around like a banshee trying to get your home decorated. You can just sit back, relax, drink some hot cocoa or your beverage of choice, and enjoy. A huge thank you to Ritual for sponsoring today's video and helping me bring you all these ideas. Be sure to head over to ritual.com/whiskey-wit25, or you can scan this QR code right here on the screen to check out all the things Ritual has to offer. All of that info will be down in the description, and be sure to use the code whiskey-wit25 to get 25% off your first order. We love a good coupon code here at Whiskey and Wit. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to hit subscribe if you're new so you can join the craft buddies and craft along with us. And also be sure to join that email list if you're interested in any of the free files I shared today. All those details are in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!